This is why in Genesis, it says Jacob was left alone. This is Genesis 32. He was left alone. And a man wrestled with him. He wrestles with God. Why? Because Jacob is the name that denotes his own agenda. But the blessings of God and the purpose of God is not on Jacob, it's on Israel. So Jacob is created, but Israel is formed. What does that forming process look like? Sometimes you're going to go through the fire. Sometimes you're going to go through the water. Sometimes God will show up and will wrestle with you himself. And so he's wrestling with Jacob, and it says that the man touched the socket of Jacob's hip. This was not a love tap. When it says it touched, it literally means that he smote it, that he hit it hard. And I love it. In verse 31, it says after the man changes his name and says, you're no longer going to be Jacob, trickster, schemer, and all of that. You're going to be Israel. It says in verse 31 that the sun rose over Peniel and Jacob. Sun rose and he was limping. He was limping because of his thigh. See, I don't know if God trusts people that don't have a limp. Because if you don't have a limp, then it means you still think you can do it by yourself. And the reason that God has got to touch you in your thigh carries the weight of your entire body. So God says, I don't need you to continue to try to move forward on your own strength. I need you leaning on me. You can't reproduce with bad thighs. You'll catch that later. God says, but I don't want you to reproduce you and your mess. I want you to reproduce me. I want to see me in your children. I want to see me in your marriage. I want to see me in America. So God says, I got to touch that hip so you can limp. Anybody that God has used, they've been limping the whole way. If you really want to be anointed, you better be careful before you pray that prayer. Because the real anointing comes with a limp, baby. You don't even know. You sit next to somebody that limped in and they limped on their way out. But God uses them because it's not about them. It's not about them. It's not about them. It's not about them. God, I'm limping, but I'm going to make it. Touch somebody and tell them that's my word. I'm limping, but I'm going to make it.